Hey, everybody. By now, you may have seen that I am out there looking for work. And there's a little bit of confusion and a little bit of curiosity. So I figured I'd make a video, talk about it once, and get it out of there into the social consciousness. So, first off, I just want to say that my team at Mars is amazing, super supportive, and nothing I'm about to say is any reflection on Mars as a company and my team. Uh, Nothing but helpful. And so I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands that a lot of this is uh, the circumstance. It's a good thing. So while it's different and things are changing, it's a good thing. So the situation is a few months back, the team finished digital workplace as a team, which I've been on for 6 years, changed its focus. And they're headed in a different direction. The user experience with all the tools that we have, the collaboration, the engagement, unifying interfaces, some incredible work, a great pivot. But it was time for me to make a change, the next best move, we call it. And I've been talking about this for a while. I've been doing augmented and virtual reality work as a side hustle for the better part of 4 years. And I've shown a desire to step up to that with the Metaverse, Web 3.0, um, and make that my focus in the future. During that refocusing, the team reorganized, and I was not offered a position. And at first, it hurt a little bit, but ultimately, it's like being pushed out the nest. They gave me 8 months to the end of June to find or create a position. And to me, that is the ultimate compliment. They could have just said there's no position and out the door. But instead, they saw my value and they realized they wanted to give me the opportunity to find something. And so they've generously given me that 8 months to find a position. So the first effort really was for me to understand and take the holidays to decide if I could live with any position and just stay at Mars and watch the immersive technology and metaverse stuff be handled by other people or not be handled or in other companies. Would I always be looking over someone else's shoulder? Would I be happy with that? And the answer is no. Um, so it came down to I wanted to create a position. That's the harder thing to do, but it's the right thing for me. I need to have the courage of my convictions. I've been talking about the metaverse and immersive technology for so long that if I'm not all in, how can I advise, provoke, and push people to innovate in this space? So, with that, I embarked on a journey to talk to as many people as I could internally and my external confidants to discuss possibilities. And over the last few months, there's a lot of work going on in the space and a lot of interest and a lot of confusion. So I think it's the right time. But first and foremost is teamwork. I have to be true and responsible to myself and my family. And so I'm working very hard to fight my own imposter syndrome. And if you don't know that term or that phrase, imposter syndrome is what keeps people sitting in the seats, not standing on the stage, afraid of being thought of as someone else is smarter, you don't know enough. Uh, I've been doing this for a long time. I was here for Web 1.0, building websites in 1995. But previous to that, using the World Wide Web and AOL uh, much earlier, and started building websites. And then in 96, 97, 98, building a community for paratroopers that lasted for 12 years. So, in the heart of the move to social and community and Web 2.0, I built a network that thrives even today. I still have dear friends and people that have connected with me through that network. And it's right for me to be in the here for Web 3. to be around the corner for this next thing. Um, I've been there for every other, and it's just it's what's calling to me, and I just have to not talk myself out of it. And so I put myself in this position to create a role that I'm calling the director of Metaverse strategy. It's a big step. I've been tactical for a long time. I've been out there in the trenches. I've been building code, um, playing with things, doing the development end. And now it's a matter of me saying, I've been doing this work for almost 30 years. The things I'm saying and the things I'm talking about are resonating with people. So it's time for me to get out of the trenches. Time for me to take the headset off, uh, teach, educate, advocate, build plans, get people on board, help them understand this space, develop effective plans. So that's what I'm trying to do. That's the director of metaverse strategy that I'm looking at. But if you don't like the word metaverse, then you can think of it as your immersive experience strategy, the augmented reality, virtual reality, 3D in the browser, interacting with others in 3D space through multiple senses, whatever you want to call it. There's a big shift that's coming. So there's a lot of interest in this space, and that's why now is an important time for me to make this switch. Uh, because there's also a lot of confusion. There's a lot of leaders that are in a tight position to make decisions based on incomplete information, um, weeks of information versus the years or the experience that I've had, and I've focused in this area. And there's a desire going on right now, just like there was in the late 90s and early 2000s, where e-commerce, you know, some managers got run over. They missed the boat. They were late. They were behind. And so there's a deep-seated desire to do something, and execute something. And the trick to that is that you can leap out there and you can do test and tries, but in a big organization, you have to figure out what makes sense. And in Metaverse, this whole thing is going to be about user experience. That user experience, what is it that we want to have as an interaction with the users, with the consumers, with the customer? We could tell a bigger story. It doesn't have to be selling them a product or a service. It can be about what's behind the company. What do we believe? You know, what turns somebody into a customer in the long term? And these are questions that are about the customer facing piece. And that's why it's different from the technology. We have to answer these questions first. We have to go to um, teams outside of IT first. We have to talk to legal about NFT contracts and IP protection. We have to talk to finance and treasury about handling crypto. We have to talk to the marketing teams about telling a different story. What's possible when you throw physics out the window? What's the trend? What's the attitude? What makes sense? Your product or service could make sense as an augmented reality in the real world, overlaying the real world in Google Maps, or it make sense in Decentraland or some other VR world. Where do you want to go? And these are the things we have to answer. And then once we have those, once we understand what that looks like and position ourselves properly, then we can start to look at it and saying, great, where's the gaps in knowledge? What do we need to learn? What technology do we need to bring on board to get these things done? And these are important discussions that have to be made. And this comes first. And I believe this position is needed, not just for me. This is going to be a position that many companies are going to be looking for. If you're out there, if you're in this space, you're probably thinking the same thing. This is going to be a lot of advisement. There's going to be a lot of work to be done. This is not cook science. This is not spinning up a website. This is still building a plane while you're flying. This is an evolving structure. But the ones that are brave enough to get out there first, they're going to see the early wins. You can stand back and as a much wiser person told me, ROI sometimes doesn't mean return on investment. It means risk of inaction. So, what do you want to do? Do you want to go out there first, or do you accept that risk and hang back? And that's going to determine where you go and how fast you want to go. With that being said, I realize this is new ground, and not every organization is going to embrace the space early or effectively. There's a lot to learn, test, and consider. And I have spoken to many at Mars who agree with me that this is something that needs to happen. But the challenge is creating a new position in an area that few understand and are still figuring out where this even would belong. It doesn't really fit into IT, doesn't totally fit into marketing. Uh, it's a little bit of everything. And we need to consider carefully where this stuff is. And I don't know that I have the time to work with people to do that before my end is up. But it's still going on. I still hold out hope. But those things are out of my control. And because I have a supportive and helpful management team, I am still working internally, but we also decided that it was appropriate for me to consider the wider market. Uh, Take this case outside. Doubt can be crushing, and I don't want to panic as we get to that end date, wondering if I'm making the wrong decision, if the market isn't ready for this position. I think it is. Taking this time will let me check to see if the world needs a metaverse strategist, if it's too early or if it's the right time. And if that's proved to be different, then who knows? Maybe I make a change. Maybe it is the time for me to take a different position or find something that I can simmer while I wait for this to move. I don't think so. But it's about keeping your options open. And that's what I'm doing. So that's the story. That's what we're doing here. I appreciate any feedback you might have, any leads you might have. This is a hard one to search on because Metaverse is a very odd place right now. Web 3.0. Do we need developers? Do we need thinkers? We need a little bit of everything. I don't know that even the recruiters are ready for this one. So I'm kind of leaving it in my network hand. And I'm driving myself and talking to as many people as I can. But I think ultimately what's going to happen is just like the communities that I've built in the past online, this community, you are going to be integral in helping me understand this space and help validate my decision. Is this out there? Is there room for the ideas that I'm thinking about? Where we want to go? Where are they? So I thank you in advance and for your patience and your wisdom and your sharing. And hopefully, over the next couple of months, this will be a very interesting journey. Thanks.